too small, overpaid, bust, doesn't do his homework, plays too many video games? Are we all finally ready to move on from bringing down Kyler Murray? It's another edition of Southwest Bias.
Get that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.
And of course, Southwest Bias is brought to you by Branded Bills. Elevate your brand with Branded Bills, the perfect headwear and apparel. Use code PHNX for 20% off your first order. Sorry to start that so negative, but we are on a positive note here on Southwest Bias as the Arizona Cardinals had a miraculous comeback on Sunday, taking down NFC West rival San Francisco 49ers 24-23 on the road at Levi Stadium. Of course, if you missed the pre-half or post-game show, PHNX Cardinals has you covered, and PHNX Cardinals is also in the building right now. I got Bo Brock, and I got Damon Dawg. We are not going to just talk about the game because y'all did that plenty and you did it so well. We're going to talk about Kyler Murray because following the game, the likes of Tom Brady, Fred Warner have gone out publicly and shown their support for the former number one overall pick. Bo, as a society, have we evolved past the need for short jokes and homework clause jokes about Kyler Murray?
For the most part, well, no. Never, right? We'll never.
that would require society to evolve.
As far as Kyler Murray remaining a polarizing figure in the NFL, I don't know if that's ever going to go away because there's been so much damage done. But like Brandon Bills, is Kyler Murray elevating his brand? Absolutely has, right? And he's doing it, and he's pushing back, clapping back, chirping back at the haters out there, joining Call of Duty with his own campaign, which is fantastic. But what helps that is just the Arizona Cardinals winning football games and Kyler Murray being a big part of that. And Kyler Murray having, probably the highlight from the game. When we talk about Tom Brady oohing and awing, how about that 50-yard touchdown run by Kyler Murray, Damon Dawg, where, you had Tom Brady absolutely just wowing. He might, we'd have to check, his Dockers or whatever weird pants he was wearing on the broadcast.
Crazy fit, by the way.
It was a wild fit for somebody who has, probably 12 stylists working for them. But getting back to K1, I mean, you can winning football games and playing at a high level is the best way to change how people talk about you and the narrative surrounding you.
So have the Cardinals done that enough, Damon? I mean, they're only 2-3 on the season, but have they done enough for that to happen with Cardinals or with Kyler?
I think, just the nature of the NFL, the quarterback position, you're under such a microscope, right? And it's just like people are so reactionary. They live and die with each win and loss. You look at I think a perfect example is a Brock Purdy, and I know that's kind of like a Beetlejuice type of name on PHNX Cardinals and whatnot. And Johnny Venerable, for example, is trashing Brock Purdy after he has a bad game last week.
Johnny.
And I think Brock Purdy would be the first one to admit it, but I think he's still a good quarterback, but yet when he makes an interception, everybody's like system quarterback trash. You know what I mean? And that's just the example that I'm using. But like Kyler Murray, it's the exact same way. He has a bad game. The Cardinals lose to, the Commanders in blowout fashion. Everybody's out. Now they beat the 49ers the next week. Everybody's back in. And you're right. The cure for all of this is just winning football games. If the Cardinals continue to win, people will start to catch up to the fact that Kyler Murray's one of the better quarterbacks in football, has a skill set that is so undeniable and specific to him almost. Yeah. And that's the cure.
Well, there's no quarterback in the NFL that doesn't get hate from the bottom to the top. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, they're all going to have fans, opposing fans, their own fans point out their flaws, and whenever they mess up, almost preying on their downfall. But with Kyler, Bo, it's felt less football related. I know that the homework clause and making your reads, and there's certainly football criticism, but it's almost felt more personal for some reason when it comes to Kyler. Do you think there's a reason for that?
I think that there are a couple of different people with big platforms that in the very few times that they got to watch Kyler Murray play, they made their assessment. And what do we know about the Arizona Cardinals? They haven't been really truly relevant as far as winning football games in the NFL landscape for far too long. And, Kyler plays a role in that, but at the same time isn't the main reason for them not being successful. I think he's a victim of circumstance as far as the lack of infrastructure from, front office to play calling to play structure to playmakers. And I think he's finally in a great spot. And it's nice to see outside here in Arizona where we get to witness it every day. And we've seen him kind of with the new organization, new regime be embraced, that people whose opinions that are valued in Tom Brady, the GOAT, is singing his praises, and then arguably one of the best defensive players in the league, and Fred Warner is saying, hey, this dude's legit. People are starting to say, well, maybe we should rethink what we thought to be true about Kyler Murray, because really the last time that people saw Kyler Murray on a national stage, he was just getting bullied by the Rams Super Bowl defense on a wild card playoff game, and it looked horrendous. And that's where they started to make their decision on what they felt K1 was, and forgot that he's a very talented dude. And now it's on display with better play and wins. It just helps change the narrative.
And I'll take it a step further, actually. I think, frankly, he doesn't look like what a lot of people envision a prototypical quarterback looks like. And I think that plays a massive factor into this. Like, from being short to being African-American, like, I think it does play a role in terms of, like, people look at that and go, like, that's not a quarterback. You mentioned Justin Herbert in with the elite quarterbacks. To me, that's egregious. Like,
that's fair.
You said Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Justin Herbert looks like he is in that group, but in my opinion, he's not. I think that plays a massive role in terms of the narrative around a guy, is like, people are out on a Kyler Murray or a Lamar Jackson before they even start playing football. Which
is ridiculous.
It is. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah. And I think even with both of your points, and the Rams being the national scale, that game coming off the tail end of a collapse, not like much that we've seen in the NFL. And of course, Kyler, you're the quarterback, you're going to be the star of that. And then how the organization and the franchise had treated him afterwards, right? Because it's like, oh, protect your own, take care of your own. Well, then you go through an entire media storyline and cycle of, a homework clause, and does he actually
the public
study?
Negotiation,
right.
Exactly.
It was really ugly, especially when you choose to extend a Steve Keim and a Cliff Kingsbury before you extend a Kyler Murray. All of that just puts a really negative light on Kyler, and that negative light's never going to go away. He's always going to get short jokes. He's always going to get, everybody preying on his downfall whenever he has a bad game. But what I think you are starting to see is, as the Arizona Cardinals become, a trendier pick to, this is a good team that maybe people are sleeping on, those football experts and the national ones, including like Amina Kimes, who you guys have on a couple times a month, are preaching the good word of Kyler Murray explaining to people that if Kyler Murray was on a team with the infrastructure like some of the best in the NFL right now, let's say we dropped him on the New York Jets instead of an Aaron Rodgers, they would be a different team. Kyler would be even a different animal. And I know there's a good offense around Kyler, but you're still playing in a system and with an infrastructure that's part of a rebuilding franchise. You're not built to win now. And if Kyler was dropped on a team that was built to win now, not on like a house of cards like the Cliff Kingsbury team that lost to the Rams, there's no denying that the national perspective of him would be a lot different.
Right.
I'm sitting here thinking about the Vikings. Imagine if Kyler Murray's on the Vikings, they might win the Super Bowl this year. Yeah. Like, genuinely.
And people who are in power positions and around the league understand that, right? If he became available, and that's not happening, but that just to prove the point that people who know ball and understand, just like Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort, who came to this organization and quickly realized, like, this is the guy we can build around. It's very few rebuilds actually have the franchise quarterback in tow. So, no doubt about it. If he were to ever move on, like, the gospel of Kyler Murray would just move to a different fan base and different team. So, like, the Arizona Cardinals have him locked up. And Gannon and everybody is on that coaching staff of that front office understand that they've got a guy that if you put him in the right situation, often that's the case with most NFL quarterbacks. There's like the exception where Patrick Mahomes can probably make any situation. Josh Allen can make any situation work out. But, you need some help. And I think Kyler Murray's finally getting that help to where you're starting to see that pay off. And I think you're going to see, like, he'll always remain polarizing because people needed to be banged over the head with it. But as far as, like, when you see him run 50 yards and he's putting his finger up, pointing in the end zone at the 40-yard line with 40 more to go.
Undeniable.
I mean, you watch that, like, nobody think that's not a fun play? Like, you didn't enjoy your NFL watching experience outside of being a Niners fan on that play? Like, if that's not a fun play to you, you're a stick in the mud.
I got to be honest. In the moment when he pointed, I thought he was like pointing at a blocker to go hit the safety who was over top. When I realized that he was actually just pointing that he was going to make it all the way to the end zone, that's pretty incredible stuff.
And it's not the first time he's done something that makes you sit back and go, what? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously the Raiders game where he has multiple different plays that have, cleats and commemorations in the NFL Hall of Fame, right? Like this is a guy that at the end of his career is going to do some things that there is not another person on this planet that has played this sport at any level has done, as Kyler Murray has. And the most important thing that you mentioned to me, Bo, is the fact that the infrastructure built around him now, they believe in him, they invest in him. It was proven over the first offseason when they visited the statue unveiling at Oklahoma. And everybody gave them crap about that.
Well,
right?
just Florio. Just Mike Florio.
Right. Well, that might be a whole nother Southwest bias going through his history of Cardinals takes. But, Jonathan Gannon saying that, he wanted to be here because of Kyler Murray and, not beating around the bush and kind of leaving the door open for national criticism and the storylines of will they trade Kyler and, sticking by him.
Williams at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And sticking by him, frankly, through a really tough period with him where you're coming off, the play with Cliff Kingsbury and it being very disappointing, and then your homer clause and then your injuries and everything as well. Like that's a very devastating blow to the mentals of anybody, even a professional athlete, and having infrastructure around him to help build him up instead of tear him down is now putting him in the position to play like we've seen him play this season. And he is going to have to win games to change that narrative, even though it won't be completely changed. But other games he might be playing, well, he kind of got a partnership with one, and we're going to talk about that just on the other side of this break. Of course, Southwest Bias is brought to you by Branded Bills. I'm rocking my Branded Bills right now. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think I might be a Branded Bills addict. I might just, I have to wear them.
There are worse vices.
There are definitely worse vices, but I'm a massive hat guy. Literally, as I've worn the big hat that's on set too, but I cannot get enough of how these feel, how they look, the different styles. They have snapbacks, truckers, fitted, beanies, and tees. We're going to have some custom PHNX stuff coming out as well. And you can get your own brand elevated as well. Get your own custom branded Bills hats and shirts. Plus, they're a local company from Mesa, Arizona. They're partnered with great schools such as U of A and ASU. I know I kind of flipped that up. Should have said ASU first. But, of course.
Oh, you're a U of A fan. You're just showing your heart.
I'm a massive man. I'm not going to finish that sentence because that will get clipped. So I'm not going to do that. But I am going to tell you that you can head to brandedbills.com and use code PHNX for 20% off your first order. And I got to tell you about Empire today. The Kyler Murray era kind of hit the floor with the Cliff Kingsbury, the homework clause. But the floor was a lot uglier than our floors right here in the studio. And that's because Empire today took care of our floors here. You hear that?
I'll eat off this floor.
That's quality. I've seen him do it. And when they came in here, it was quickly installed. It was so easy. It was so convenient. And that's what they're going to do with you as well. They can get you somebody in your home today to get you an estimate and let you know what you're going to need and what kind of money you're going to have to invest in to get the right floors in your home. And they're not going to guarantee you the lowest prices because they don't want to guarantee you the worst floors. But you can get $350 off, and you can do that by using promo code PHNX. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when they use promo code PHNX. Some restrictions do apply. See EmpireToday.com/PHNX for details. Let's take a little bit of a lighter note to end this edition of Southwest Bias with Bo Brock and Damon Dawg. You can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're listening on audio in the Cardinals feed. Make sure you tune in 5 days a week to the PHNX Cardinals show, and make sure you rate it 5 stars and tell Johnny, who's not here right now, just how handsome he is. But Kyler Murray partners with Call of Duty Black Ops 6, I think at this point. They're on Black Ops 6. And the tweet is, thanks to all of you haters who memed me into a bag, or whatever it was. I know that Damon had some thoughts about the use of the word memeing me into a bag, but we'll get to that in a second. Bo, your initial thought when Kyler kind of bucked the trend from avoiding the Call of Duty talk.
It was an unbelievable twist that, a lot of people said, wouldn't it be funny? Like, we even talked to Mina Kimes, like, why don't the people at Call of Duty partner with Kyler Murray at this point? Because he is, as he mentioned on his own YouTube channel, the face of the Call of Duty pushback, right? And said, like,
getting choked up here. It's a beautiful moment.
I'm very emotional at this moment. But, like, we know about Devin Booker plays video games.
Devin Booker and Kevin Durant are in Call of Duty.
Right, they are. They're in the damn game. You've got athletes all over the place. Justin Jefferson, you got Jettas on commercials. But they don't receive nearly as much flack. Anytime Kyler Murray is celebrated on social media, look at the replies, and they say, probably going to go home and play video games, or he's too short.
Or wait until October, when Call of Duty comes out, and this is all
we
over.
Know that date, and people are going to keep, spreadsheets on his stats and where they were before Call of Duty was released and after. And yeah, I mean, it's for Kyler Murray to turn it into him, having a partnership with Call of Duty, and he's going to be able to make money off of it. It's just, it's sweet, sweet music. It's beautiful.
You a fan?
I just, to be honest with you, I'm so indifferent on it. Like Kyler in his own life, he gets to choose and pick and choose what he wants to do.
Right.
Like if I play video games, who would I be to,
We all know that you're, allergic to the grind.
Yeah, your performance has been slacking.
For sure,
so
absolutely.
I think we might need to talk about the video.
Yeah,
no doubt. We'll get Espo. We'll have a meeting. We'll all sit down. But at the same time, it's like the people that are the loudest about Kyler playing video games are definitely the guys that play video games
Right.
all the time. And it's just crazy that Venn diagram is just a big giant circle. To me, it's like the guy does what he wants to do in his personal life. He's a professional athlete. He wouldn't get to this point in his career if he was like didn't care about it, if he wasn't putting in the work to make sure that he
Right.
was getting better, learning the playbook. Like it's such a non-story to me. And shout out to Kyler for, kind of playing into it and,
Right.
and making fun of all the losers out there.
That's a good, to be kind of like self-deprecating and kind of have that awareness of who he is, right? And that he's going to take, probably more flack of it, but he's got the confidence in himself that his performance isn't going to fall off, right?
Yeah.
And that's, you should be I might be concerned about that, but just like you were saying, your vice is Brandon Bill's hats. Like there are worse out there. There are athletes that go out there and they're out until all hours of the night,
Right.
partying and stuff. And he even said this in his YouTube channel, like he's not a big partier. He doesn't like to go out. But if, he wants to take some time away from studying his playbook or watching film and just fire up the sticks for a couple hours, there's worse things he could be doing.
And sometimes it's like, you want somebody who's always looking at film, who always is thinking about the game, who's so dedicated and committed, like a Damon Dawg
Yes.
to their job, right?
Yep.
But Damon deserves to relax. Damon deserves to breathe a
No, he
little bit,
doesn't.
and in fact will be better
He's
at his
locked
job.
in on PHNX Cardinals.
Yeah, no,
right,
you guys just keep them
They
locked
lock-
up in Studio K.
I was gonna say they lock me in here at night actually
That's right.
when
No video games.
when everyone
No.
shuts down the studio.
No, but like seriously, when you're working really hard, whether it's somebody taking like a vacation or going out on a walk or whatever, but when you're an athlete and you're constantly in this mental state of highs and lows and hard work and sweat and complicated schemes, and again, being the quarterback, being a leader, having all this national attention on you, and like we mentioned in the first part of this show, every mistake that you make being put on a billboard for the entire world to digest. To just go and play video games for like an hour is probably good for your game. Like
Right.
it's probably a beneficial thing for your mental health and beneficial for you when it actually comes to being able to focus, retain, and be better at your craft. Whether it's video games, whether some people do like puzzles or whatever, like having some sort of mental exercise and escape is good for a human being and good for an athlete. And the big thing that's always grinded my gears with all of this is like, he's been good. Like he's always been good. Like from the moment he came in the league, he's been good. Even the people who like hate him, oh, he's too short. It's like, you can still look at the numbers. Like statistically, this guy is not a bust. He's not bad at football. He's not doing his homework and unaware of what's going on out there. He's not benched. He's not out of the league. The dude just plays Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And like you said, Damon, not as much as everybody who's getting mad at him for playing Call of Duty.
Right.
I think the entire thing is ridiculous, but it is what it is. And I think it's fun to lean into it because
For sure.
at a certain point, if you like avoid it and you kind of let it get to you that way, then you're going to go play Call of Duty. You're like, oh, can I even do this right now? Like that's stupid.
I would venture to guess that it probably did bother him when all of this stuff was coming out during the Kingsbury era, but now that he feels a little bit more comfortable in his position, he feels like he can be self-deprecating about it, like you said, Bo. And to me, at least, that makes me think of him in a much better light. Like, not that I didn't before, but that
It's in a more like secure place.
It makes me feel like he's a cool guy.
Yeah.
Like he's able to joke about himself. He's having fun with it. Like nothing but positives going on in Kyler Murray land right now.
All right. Well, you guys let us know what you think of Kyler Murray and playing video games, because I'm sure there's somebody out there who vehemently disagrees with us, and that's okay. As long as you hit the like button right after you leave a comment. Of course, you can subscribe to PHNX Sports to catch PHNX Cardinals live 5 days a week on weekdays at 4:30. Then, of course, a pre, half, and post-game show all right here on PHNX Sports. That's Johnny, that's Britton, that's Bo, that's Damon. Of course, you can look out for the Mina Kimes, the Michael Wilsons making recurring appearances on PHNX Cardinals as well. Plus, we have coverage for all of your Valley teams. Suns preseason getting started. You can catch a bunch of player previews right here on PHNX. ASU, U of A in the middle of their seasons. We're still covering hockey. Mercury, we're doing some postseason, after the season, not postseason because they're bounced from the playoffs, content as well, and the Phoenix Rising. We really just have everything. And oh yeah, Damon Dawg also on Diamondbacks as well. If you would like to, commiserate and be sad together, you can do that with PHNX Diamondbacks. All of that.
They won 89 games.
Yeah, but they didn't make the playoffs.
Let's not do the moral,
All right, that's the next Southwest bias. Did we get enough moral victories from the Arizona Diamondbacks? I'm not sure if that's what's going to be, but I know that we will be back later this week for another edition of Southwest Bias.
Get that stuff out of here. It's Southwest Bias.